The run defense stunk in week 1. For it to not stink in week 2, we turn to Cam Heyward. We talk with him in the Steelers locker room on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find the show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes, as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. We're going to talk about the Steelers D-line fixing what it needs to do to get fixed for week 2. Cam Heyward talks about that in the locker room. We got our week 2 NFL picks. And to do that with me is the amazing Jenna Harner from Channel 11 WPXI. Jenna, there's been a lot of chatter this week about the Steelers' run defense, and I feel like because they won and because Aaron Rodgers played well, the sky is not falling for a lot of Steelers fans, but there's a lot of people that are ready for a sky to fall.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's reason for concern because this was such a big focus for this team this offseason. And I feel like that was all we heard conversation-wise from, the second they drafted Derek Harmon, and Mike Tomlin comes out and says, like, what was something, it was to the extent of, like, I still had nightmares about Baltimore. Like, as soon as that game was over and the clock hit zeros, that was kind of when the Steelers were like, yeah, we got to fix this. So they knew that that was a big priority coming into the offseason, and you expected, based on what we saw throughout training camp, that the run defense was going to be a big factor of this team, and that this defense was going to be what carried this team, as it has so many times we've seen over the last handful of years. That was not the case. What was the last time we saw the offense win the team a game, for lack of a better word, for this team over the last handful of years? Because it hasn't been. But yeah, lots of concerns for sure. But also at the same time, you almost want to sit there and say, it's week 1. Like, this is something very tangible that this team can fix. And if it becomes a pattern, if we see a lot of insanity this week, Tomlin always likes to say 2 is a pattern, then there might be a little more reason to be more concerned. But I think this is something the Steelers can and will be focusing on cleaning up and shoring up heading into this week and, this first quarter of the season here.
Absolutely. Cam Heyward spoke in the Steelers locker room. We got to ask him questions about the run defense. Listen to the way he answers the question where I posed, kind of tying it to something Mike Tomlin said, as well as when you hear him talk about why there's confidence in Keeanu Benton, who as we noted on the Locked On Steelers podcast with our 3 skull grade of his week 1 performance, he had a rough day. Here's Cam Heyward from the Steelers locker room.
I talked about anticipation being part of being better against double teams and what offensive lines are trying to do against you. What can you guys do, especially with the younger guys on your defensive line, to better anticipate what teams are trying to do?
Anticipation is one thing, player awareness, understanding what type of blocks you're going to get in certain schemes. But I also think just using your hands. It's not talked about enough. A lot of guys think it's just go upfield, play with your shoulders. I think sometimes it needs to be an emphasis on using your hands so you can get off blocks, so you can, transfer power from another guy. And so all those things come into play, but, we got to be better all the way around.
Is that something Carl has emphasized with you guys this week, especially on film and out in the practice field?
Yeah. I think understanding that, there's plays to be made and everybody can be thirsty about making those plays, but I think also, you maintain your gap and you set that line of scrimmage and you set an edge. We're a much better defense when you do that.
There have been a lot of questions about Keeanu Benton's role at the nose tackle. He's a smaller, quicker guy. What do you think he brings as a nose that benefits you guys as defense?
He's athletic. I think he can get upfield very fast. He has a good, chop, and then I just think he brings, he's very similar to how Javon Hargrave used to play. Not always the biggest stature, but can get to a spot quick. And, he's going to be a great player. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a nose we can depend on, and he can also rush a passer. And so having that type of flexibility at that position is key.
How have you seen him respond to last week? Because the Jets ran at him a lot.
I think, you take your lumps, but go out there and answer. There's 17 games. Now there's 16. Sometimes the bear gets you, but sometimes you get the bear. And so hopefully he learns from his mistakes and we move forward.
So there you have it with Cam Heyward. I think that he makes some really good points. I like him talking about using his hands because as a person who studies film, hand placement, especially in the line, is critical. It's just as important as foot placement. You need to have good footwork and have good spacing on yourself, but you also need to be able to engage the blockers and beat them to the point. And Jenna, to me, I think there's a difference because in talking about Keeanu Benton, there's been a lot of chatter that he's not a nose tackle, that he can't play nose tackle, but the Steelers seem committed to it. Terrell Austin was committed to it when I talked to him on Thursday. Mike Tomlins was committed to it on Tuesday. Cam Heyward's backing him up here in this video on Thursday as well. I think the thing is that Keeanu Benton, they want to be a newer styled nose tackle where he can win against the pass and the run, because old school nose tackles didn't win against the pass too much. They simply two gap. They just held guys up. They would just kind of sit there. But in today's passing NFL, it's somewhat swinging back around to also running the ball a bit more balance wise. You need that nose tackle that can get after the quarterback and stuff the run. And I think that's what they're hoping. It's just that Keeanu Benton isn't the oversized guy like Cam Heyward or Derek Harmon or Y.A. Black, where his size can just win by itself. He has to win by having good technique, being quicker off the ball. And those are the things that he weren't on last Sunday.
Yeah, and that's something we see these guys kind of work day in, day out at practice. How many times as we're kind of walking the field, seeing them do the individual drills and the position drills, these guys are working on those, the hand fighting, the techniques in that way to be able to be better on Sundays. I also wonder, and I'm kind of intrigued with your input on this too, how much of obviously you look at Benton's performance, it was not great, but how much of that also played into the factor that the Jets had the very mobile quarterback in Justin Fields, and the extra level of, just having to figure out, hey, there's this, like all those extra additions to the offense that Fields brings in that way that, most quarterbacks aside from, I'd say him, Lamar, Josh Allen, but in a different way, like the really elusive mobile guys bring compared to what they're probably going to see this week against Sam Darnold in just not the mobility sense.
No, I think it's a good question. It's a great question. I think that's a big part of what the point is that when you're playing up front and your job is to protect a specific gap, but at the same time, you have to be with a running quarterback. You have to be very mindful that all gaps are have a chance to be attacked. And whereas when you have a non-mobile guy, and not to say that Sam Darnold can't move, but when you have a guy that's not the same kind of threat like Justin Fields, you can't be as aggressive, because if you overplay your hand, they'll take advantage of that. And all of a sudden that quarterback's turned that into a big gain. And so it stresses gap discipline across the board so much more. It's why running quarterbacks have been more and more the future in both college and the NFL, because people are finding ways to make guys who can be running quarterbacks and bring that to the NFL, while also those guys being serious passing threats. It was an either or situation. You either threw the ball well or you ran the ball well. Now people are doing both, and that is a big concern if you're a D lineman, because it changes how you approach things. Because if that guy's stationary and that you could probably maybe not beat that guy in a foot race, but get close enough to bring him down, then you feel a little bit more aggressive because you can get after him more. But when a guy is mobile and fast, it means you better win your blocks cleanly, because you're going to need to not only win that, but then keep the guy in your space to be able to win that. Because that if Justin Fields, it's about a race for him to get to one spot and to that spot as well, he'll probably win that race. So it does change your approach. And I think that the Steelers, if Keeanu Benton can find his footing here, it can help him, be more confident in what he's doing when they next face another running quarterback.
Yeah, and also too for Cam to kind of compare Benton to Javon Hargrave. That's that is not for nothing. That's some decently high praise for the potential that this, Heyward and the defensive leader that he is sees out of the young, Benton that's still kind of finding his footing and getting molded within this within this defense, excuse me. But yeah, I think there's a lot to work on too, but it's not like the potential isn't there. And I don't think that, after what we saw in the postseason from Benton, again, that game against the Ravens and this game, it's fair to look and say, yeah, writing him off, not a nose tackle.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing online, a lot of people in our comments section. And listen, if you've listened to the show, I've questioned whether he should be the team's nose tackle. I'm saying, hey, this is a deficiency. What if they put Y.A. Black there? What if they put Cam there? What if they put Harmon there? But the Steelers seem insistent about it. And this is where because a lot of people say, Chris, you should be the coach. There's a reason I'm not a coach. These guys, these are highly expert guys. And in this business, you can be an expert. You can study things a million more times than we can. And you can still get things wrong because you're still at the end of the day betting on a guy to be better than another superstar athlete that's at the top of the world in their talent as well, because that's what all guys are in the NFL. If you make it this far, you're in that position. So I'm right with you. I think that, and listen, I think that the Steelers could explore some other options, but I'm interested to see how he bounces back from this, or how he fights back, because as Cam Heyward says, sometimes the bear gets you, sometimes you get the bear. Keeanu Benton wants to go get him a bear, and I think that that's something that he could really, if he does that, it might silence people a little bit and show, hey, because there are nose tackles and D tackles that win with less size, that are just quicker and faster off the ball. They're just it's just a different skill set. And the thing that I point people to remember, it took time for Cam Heyward to be an effective interior defensive lineman. He didn't become, I think, like a really good one until his fourth, fifth, or I think he didn't make an all pro until like his 7th or 8th year in the league. So it takes time for people to get it. So I think that it's just part of the growing process that you got to watch for Keeanu Benton.
Yeah, and also too, one quick thing. It'll be really intriguing to see this week how much we see Y.A. Black get worked in a little bit. I'll be interested to see when Derek Harmon returns, what things look like and how that how that defensive line looks with the way that they, come out and get that push. And can attack opposing offenses. So I think they're missing Harmon, of course, but what does Y.A. Black, how does he get involved this week? That'll be interesting to kind of see those little added parts to a defensive line that really did struggle a week ago.
Absolutely. She's Jenna Harner. I'm Chris Carter. Stick with us. We still got a lot to discuss, including our Week 2 NFL picks. We'll go across the board before we come back to Steelers Seahawks and give you our looks here. Keep it here with the Locked On Steelers podcast. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players are in position to deliver when it matters most. Let's get into it. For the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers delivered in a big way, throwing 4 touchdowns against the Jets and becoming the first Steelers quarterback to do that in over 3 years. His best throw came on his touchdown pass to Calvin Austin that gave the Steelers a 4th quarter lead. When the pressure was on, he came through and he delivered. No hesitation, no delay. Now the Steelers hope that Aaron Rodgers stays hot and goes on a streak. And just like Aaron Rodgers could go on a streak and deliver for the Steelers, DoorDash delivers for you on Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save Saturday every order by stacking up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms and conditions apply. Promo period through November 18th. We're also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel wants to make sure that you kick off the season right with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet and your chance to get $300 in bonus bets to use only on FanDuel. We're back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm Chris Carter. She's Jenna Harner. We're going to continue the show here by getting into our week 2 picks. But first, we got to review what happened in week 1. And yeah, go ahead, Jenna. You beat me again.
13-3. That's a solid start. A solid start to the season. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. But we came away from week 1 1-0, and we're going to look to continue on this trajectory here.
11-5, but we get after it. Shout out to all of our people that play in our pigskin pick'em. Right now, we do have quite a few people tied for first, as it normally gets in the start of the season. Shout out to the 3 people. We got the real Lisa Simpson, Ray Ethan, and Cheddar Frog. Picks one. All of them went 15-1. Jenna, we had said no one went perfect in the league to start the season. That's been kind of interesting, but lots of people that are playing with us. I believe we have 267 players with us right now. So lots of y'all playing with us. Let's see you pick alongside us with these picks coming up here. And as always, these odds, ends, and lines that we give to you are from FanDuel.com. So let's start with an AFC North matchup Sunday, 1 p.m. Browns-Ravens. Ravens are 11.5-point favorites. I don't care about Joe Flacco, and this is give me the Ravens. This is going to be a stomp. They're so mad after that Bills loss.
The Ravens coming off that game was over. That game I was, and this is coming from somebody who covered the Bills, who has a soft spot for the Bills. I was like, it's done. It's done. I'm going back to getting ready to go on television here at Channel 11 for Sunday Night Football, and I double take and I look back and I said, oh, here come the Bills. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Baltimore is going into their home opener real pissed off. I like the Ravens. I even like them by -11. I like them by that too. The Browns are not great. I know it's week 2 and it's so early, but yeah, Baltimore in just a slugfest.
The Titans are at home, but they are underdogs to the Rams, who are 5.5-point favorites on the road. Give me the Rams easy. I think that Cam Heyward could be good, but the Titans have a long way to go.
Yeah, I like what we saw from the Rams week 1, especially Puka Nacua just being the absolute warrior that he is. The man, he got stitches in his eye mid-game and then came back and was just bleeding down his face. Like, I like the Rams a lot. I think they're going to be fun to watch this season. And you have Sean McVay as your head coach. So I like what he brings. I like his offensive mind. So I like them. Even though it's a West Coast team coming east, give me the Rams. The other team in LA.
So the other LA team. Bears at Lions. Lions are 6.5 points favorites. The Lions looked kind of rough against the Packers, but it looks like anyone who plays the Packers might be getting people a little rough right now, because we are recording this in the middle of Thursday Night Football, and the Packers are up 14-0 right now over the Commanders. So they're looking pretty strong. But give me the Lions. I think the Bears, I still don't believe in them, and in Caleb Williams, I gotta see more. So Detroit getting their dub back at home.
Yeah, I like the Lions in this one. And look, I liked what we saw from Caleb Williams in his first, hey, this is what he looks like under new head coach Ben Johnson. I liked what we saw in the first half, but the second half of that game against Minnesota, he kind of reverted to some of his old tendencies that caused him some fits a year ago. So I think this is going to be a good fit for Chicago eventually. I just don't think they're immediately snap your fingers. You have Ben Johnson, it's fixed. So yeah, I like the Lions in this one, especially at home. Bears are going 0-2, but the Bears aren't going to be the worst team in the season in the league this season. So
there you go. Bills at Jets. Bills 6.5-point favorites. The Jets almost took the Steelers last week. Their offense looked exciting. If that offense returns this week, maybe they do take the Bills. But I think the Bills still find a way to win. I think the Bills are one of the best teams in football, and they're going to prove that in this Sunday game.
Are the Bills going to be kind of this team of destiny this year, just what we saw from week 1? As long as there's no letdown in this game, I think the Bills win easily. I'm a little concerned. I'm going to watch Ed Oliver's status. He was in a walking boot in the locker room on Thursday, so something to keep an eye on for sure. But I like the Bills, although I think the Jets make this interesting and keep this much closer than people anticipate.
Giants at Cowboys. Your New York Football Giants facing the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys only 4.5-point favorites here, Jenna. I'm taking Dallas, but are you going to ride with your G-man?
No, because it's week We haven't even played games in week 2 yet, and there's already calls for Jackson Dart to start. And is Russell Wilson going to be the starting quarterback? Like it's not good in New York offensively. I like the Cowboys a lot in this one. I like them to win by more than 4.5 for sure.
The Niners at the Saints. The Niners are 3-point favorites on the road, but Jenna, Brock Purdy said it's a long shot that he's going to play. I know the Saints are bad, so that's why I'm sticking with the Niners here. I still think they find a way to win, but do you ride with Nola in the absence of Brock Purdy?
No, even though Mac Jones, it seems like he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Niners this week. I think the Saints are just not great. I think they have so many things that they need to figure out. I do not like Spencer Rattler at quarterback for them. So yeah, I'm going with the Niners, even though Mac Jones is probably going to be the one throwing the football for them.
Oh boy, I'm telling y'all right now, here come the upsets. Patriots at Dolphins. Dolphins are 1.5-point favorites, and after that absolute shellacking against the Colts, I don't believe in anything they got going on. Give me New England walking into Miami, which has been their house of horrors, but the Patriots find a way to win this game.
The Dolphins, it's week 2, and they're having a players-only meeting on Tuesday. It is not great, Bob, in Miami by any means. I talking to people who are big Patriots fans and cover the Patriots, while they lost week 1, there's a lot that you can look at and say, okay, this team is taking steps to be better than they were a season ago. I felt that was going to be the case with the Patriots coming in. So I like New England in this one. Miami's got all sorts of problems, and Mike McDaniel is going to be the coach that gets fired first this season. I mark my words. I think that's happening.
I thought that was going to be Brian Dable, but it's looking like Mike McDaniel right now.
Yep.
Jaguars at Bengals. Bengals 3.5-point home favorites. And give me the Jaguars. I continue my run of upsets here. I just don't believe in the Bengals. That was a horrendous performance. They barely beat the Browns 17-16 in week 1. The Jaguars, I think, can go into town and give some problems.
Yeah, I don't know. Of course, it's week 2. We don't know a lot about these teams yet, but I don't know who these teams are, and I don't know. This feels like a very evenly matched game. I like the Bengals strictly because of Joe Burrow, but that offensive line gives me so many question marks. That defense gives me so many question marks. They had 6 yards in the second half? It was something stupid like that where you double glance at that stat. You're saying, is that real? 6 yards of offense in the second half? Big yike. But yeah, I like the Bengals, but I could for sure see the Jags winning this one.
It's the battle of the horsies, the Broncos at the Colts. The Broncos are 2.5-point road favorites, but give me the Indianapolis Colts for my 3rd straight upset, because unlike you, Jenna Harner, who did not believe in Danny Dimes, I now believe in Danny Dimes, only for this week. He's going to be really bad soon. But I think that the Colts, they're going to be riding off the high of beating the snot out the Dolphins. I think the Broncos going on the road. I just think that this matchup actually does kind of work for the Colts for a little bit. I don't think the Colts are going to be that good this year, but I also think the Broncos are coming back a little bit down from the reality where people were believing in Bo Nix, and now they're like, whoa, wait a second. That's why Bo Nix wasn't exactly like the number 1 quarterback off the board.
Yeah, and he did not, correct me if I'm wrong here, did not have a spectacular week last week. I like the Colts, and I say that very apprehensively, but Jim Irsay's one of his daughters, and I forget her name, and I feel terrible that I'm forgetting her name. She kind of went a little social media viral when she's on the sideline, has the earpiece in, kind of listening to how the game day operations go, and when they scored the touchdown, she just throws her arms up, and she just has the vibe, the aura, and I hate saying it like that because I'm not Gen Z. I'm at the tail end of the millennial spectrum here. But the vibes seem high in Indianapolis, even with just, Danny Dimes at quarterback. So give me the Colts in this one. This is going to be a fun game, though.
Panthers at Cardinals. The Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. Give me the Cardinals. I don't believe in anything in the Panthers yet.
Nope. I like the Cardinals in this one. And on Big Insiders podcast that I host with Mike DeFabo, I said this was going to be the battle of the birds when I was looking at the logos not too closely. So the Panthers, in fact, are not birds. Yes, I'm telling you guys this too, because I know you want to hear that.
You should go check out the Insiders, by the way, if you don't. That's amazing.
It's a really good time. But yeah, give me the actual bird in this matchup, the Arizona Cardinals.
Super Bowl rematch. Everyone's been talking about it. It's the Eagles at the Chiefs. The Eagles are 1.5-point favorites, effectively making this a toss-up kind of for FanDuel here. Give me Philly. They look strong in week 1 against the Cowboys. I was a little suspect on the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy, at least like he's battling back, trying to get back healthy in time, but I'm going to ride with Philly going into Arrowhead and reminding them that, hey, this is why we won the Super Bowl.
So many people are kind of saying, oh, well, the Chiefs can't go 2-0. The Chiefs can't start. They can, and I think they're going to start, can't go 0-2, and they're going to start, I think they are going to start 0-2. Eagles looked good, and also look at how they were rolling in that first half before the into the third quarter before the lightning delay. The way that those plays were so explosive and firing, and then all of a sudden, of course, you sit down for an hour, things change. But I really like what we saw out of Philly. And again, this was a team that did not have Jalen Carter. He's coming back, and he's going to get a lot of push up front. So give me the Eagles.
Yeah, wear your COVID mask, Patrick Mahomes. You might spit
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But Falcons at Vikings. Vikings 3.5-point favorites. Give me the Vikings. I kind of you were talking about vibes and aura. I was feeling the JJ McCarthy aura with the comeback over the Bears. I like Michael Penix though, so it's tough for me. These are two young quarterbacks. This will be a fun game to watch Sunday night. But give me Minnesota at home.
Yeah, I can't wait to see these two quarterbacks kind of battle back and forth. But I think JJ McCarthy, after that second half, is going to be playing with a lot of confidence. I've always said, I think Kevin O'Connell is such a quarterback whisperer. He can get so much out of his quarterbacks. So I think that performance week 1 is going to be a lot to build on. I like the Vikings in this one, but I do think the Falcons keep it very close.
Buccaneers at Texans. Texans 2.5-point home favorites. Man, I really thought the Texans were going to come out and do the thing against the Rams. That was where I got burned last week. Give me the Buccaneers. I think that they ride. The Buccaneers come in. I like the Buccaneers this year. I think Baker looks really good. I think their defense looks. Mecca Ibuka looks really nice. I think this is a close one, but Buccaneers coming to Houston and get it done.
Yeah, I like the Bucs here too. I also you're happy for Baker Mayfield, and look at the resurgence that he's having. I love what he's done with this team. I love what we saw from him week 1. Give me the Bucs. I like them in this game.
Final Monday Night Football game, because there's 2 this week. Chargers at Raiders. Chargers are 3-point favorites over the Raiders. I'm surprised that the line is this low. I thought it would be a bit wider, but I guess the Raiders came out and looked kind of okay in week 1. So, but give me the Chargers. I think they're definitely winning this game. I'm very high on them the way they play the Chiefs.
When what we saw from them Friday night that was a week ago. What we saw from them a week ago, I was really, really, really impressed with it. I think that they have a lot to build on. Give me the Chargers. I know it's in Vegas, but I just really like LA, even though it's a divisional game here.
Absolutely. Those are all the odds, ends, and lines from FanDuel. We got Steelers Seahawks predictions right after this on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Keep it here. But first, we remind you this episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward was a game that did keep a crucial drive forward for the Steelers in DK Metcalf when he caught an 11-yard reception late in the fourth quarter. He was being guarded by Sauce Gardner, who hit him early, knocked the ball in the air, but Metcalf refused to quit. Despite the ball bouncing off 2 other players, Metcalf stayed locked on and caught the ball for the first down, setting up the Steelers' game-winning field goal just moments later. That's how he kept the Steelers moving forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. We're back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Jenna Harner. Jenna, it's time to do Steelers Seahawks predictions here. The Steelers come into this game 3-point favorites at home. The Steelers are a money line or a -154. The Seahawks are +130. The over-under for the game is set at 39.5 points. I think this is an interesting matchup. We talked with Corbin Smith of Locked On Seahawks. He feels that these are 2 evenly matched teams. He also feels the Seahawks defense is better than the Steelers defense, which, okay, I mean, after week 1, the Steelers did give up 32 points. The Seahawks gave up 17. So I kind of hear that. But I think this is the week the defense looks a lot better because they won't have to worry about a mobile quarterback. They'll be getting it around. But let's get into this game. Jenna, give us your X factor to this game, how you see it playing out, and your final score prediction.
My X factor is going to be how this offense and how Aaron Rodgers adjusts and reacts and find ways to beat the simulated pressures that the Seahawks defense is going to bring. Mike McDonald. Yes. Okay.
So,
Mike.
So it's funny. This happened with your husband who said Mike McDaniel. Wait, Mike McDonald.
No.
And then Arthur Smith corrected him. He was like, no, I do that all the time too. So that was really funny.
Mike McDonald. There we go. Oh my goodness. There's too many Mike Mix in this league, and there's
McCarthy.
2 of them. And all the Mike Mix. Just that we need the Spider-Man meme where they're all like pointing at each other. Mike McDonald, of course, being with the Ravens for 2 years as their defensive coordinator when they were really good. The Steelers have that familiarity with him, of course, but I just know in talking to people with Seattle, like that is what they love to do. You see it on film. And how is Aaron Rodgers and how is this offense going to beat that? I also think DK Metcalf is going to have a big game. They're going to scheme a lot for him. They're going to look to get him open a lot. You were in the locker room earlier this week when we were talking with DK Metcalf, and how many players kind of came by and were like, big week for DK. And did you hear someone yell like 250 for DK in this one?
Yeah, I heard that. And I was like, that's a lot of yards, sir.
I was like, that feels a little bit unrealistic, but you get the gist of it. You can kind of see it kind of seems like the team all feels like this is going to be a big week for DK. I think he's going to score his first touchdown. I see this game going back and forth early on. I think the Steelers are going to kind of just always be ahead or always feel like, if they're, down a field goal or something, that they can always come back and take a lead. I think the offense builds on a lot of what we saw from a week ago. And I also think that my big turning point in this one, the defense is going to force a fumble in the second half.
All right. There's your turning
That's
point.
going to be a game-changing momentum swinging play. 30-20 Steelers.
30-20. Okay. I can take that. I see this game going a little similarly. I think the Steelers defense gets more aggressive in this game. I think you see them thinking less, hesitating less, and they find a way to plug the run a little bit more efficiently, but also get after the quarterback better and force some bad throws. I am not a Sam Darnold believer. I think that he is he's fine when he has a great system around him. I'm just not so sure the Seahawks have a great system around him. I think there'll be some scoring. I think Jackson Smith and Jiggle will get a little bit in there. I think that maybe Zach Charbonnet gets us a screen and gets some big yards or something like that here and there. But at the end of the day, I think that Aaron Rodgers comes in, uses DK Metcalf, like you said, but I think he also dots them up with some tight end throws. I think that he'll take advantage of the size disadvantage that the tight ends will have against the Seahawks secondary. And I think that the Steelers come in similarly to you. I'm going to say 31-17 Steelers. The turning point in this game will come. I was going to say an interception. A fumble I could totally see as well. But I can see Jalen Ramsey getting his first interception as a Steeler, that firing them up. Aaron Rodgers then hitting DK Metcalf with a touchdown, and just Heinz. I was about to call it Heinz Field. Acrisure Stadium will just be going nuts. They'll play Renegade. It'll be insane. So get to your first Steelers game because we'll be there as well.
Get those terrible towels for can you imagine if your prediction with Ramsey, can you imagine if that happens after Renegade plays?
Oh my gosh. That place will explode. That will place it. People have been waiting. They've been waiting. And like Jalen Ramsey feeding off that is going to be terrifying because that man already brings all the energy in on the field, off the field, in the locker room. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. But hey, 1 p.m. Sunday, you can see it yourself. We'll be there covering it live for our outlets. Jenna, thank you so much for joining me here, as always, on Fridays for the Locked On Steelers podcast. The people that can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Well, thank you for having me. As always, such a pleasure to be here on Fridays. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna Harner 11, Instagram, Jenna_Harner. I host the Insiders podcast with Mike DeFabo, so definitely tune in for that. And locally, WPXI TV, Channel 11, Friday night, Skylights. Chris and I will be breaking down the best high school football coverage. So definitely join us for some fun stuff and some really cool feature stories.
Hey, and don't forget, see, Jenna, you gotta plug your stuff louder. Because here's the thing: the Insiders, when she does with Mike DeFable, not only do you get to hear Zeke's picks, Zeke, who we love on this show, they're lovable block dog. But last week they had Pat Frymuth. This week they got Alex Highsmith on the show. You got to go check it out. It's the Insiders. They do a great job. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, Jenna, for joining us, and see us on Skylights later tonight, covering high school football action in Western Pennsylvania. I'm Chris Carter. You'll see me there with Jenna Harner tonight, but you can see me at all the times on social media, all my platforms, at Carter Critiques, wherever I go. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, all the places. That's my handle. You can read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com, including my live chat, which should be up 10 a.m. today, Eastern time, for the Post-Gazette. You'll also be able to see my weekend story. It'll come out later this weekend on the passing offense and what they need to do moving forward. And as always, you can find me here on the Locked On Steelers podcast every day, Monday through Friday, breaking down your Pittsburgh Steelers on your favorite podcasting app on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all of our Monday through Friday episodes. I'll be back here Sunday in Stadium giving you our quick reaction on YouTube. We'll also have our Steelers squad show where you'll get their live reaction after the game. And then, of course, we'll be back here Monday breaking down what happened for the Pittsburgh Steelers right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.